I had a question for Todd. Pursuit of the Ninth Man. It's probably one of the more, I really, I kid you not, if I had my iPod on me, I'd show it to you. But you have a very saxophonic way of playing the bass clarinet. It's probably most unique. It's not Eric Dolphy, it's not Benny Moffitt. Could you kind of explain where that came from? Because it's very cool, it's very unique, and I really like your style, the way you play bass clarinet. To me, it's kind of opening up a new way to play bass clarinet that I really, really enjoy.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely been an intentional effort because the instrument's history, it's a relatively newer instrument as far as the whole instrument family go. And so the repertoire for it, it's a lot of uncharted territory. And for me, when I was getting interested in music, and I grew up playing classical music and band music, I expressed interest in jazz earlier on, but was turned away. He said, you can't play the clarinet in jazz. And so then I started exploring stuff on my own, and I heard an Eric Dolphy album early on, and when I heard that, I thought, boy, what I'm doing on clarinet right now, I sound like a really bad Dixieland player, but there's so much more possibilities with this bass clarinet. So I started getting my hands on all the Eric Dolphy stuff because he was this example, one of the few examples of being used. But at a certain point, I realized that what I was passionate about was not going in the direction that he had used it, but in the manner that you talked about, giving it more of a drive and more of a saxophonic kind of quality, like you said, and real rich harmony. Not that Dolphy wasn't rich. I mean, Dolphy was super rich harmony, but a little more. Dolphy had a little more of that freer spirit in his playing, and so something a little more on maybe a little more the straight ahead side was something I was gravitating to a little bit, and so. Hearing some of Don's work on the bass clarinet was an introduction for me on that. But just listening to a lot of stuff that saxophone players, trumpet players, piano players were playing, and trying to work that vocabulary into what I was doing. And there's a few things that I ran into right away that were tricky. One is that this is a quiet instrument. I mean, clarinets in general, but the bass clarinet, I remember the first jam session I went to, and it wasn't, the shocker wasn't how poorly I played, but that I couldn't hear myself, and I had to get right up into that microphone. So I started exploring, and I feel like charting some new territory as far as getting more volume, more projection, and I think around that time, as far as the tone that I get, I started listening to a great tenor saxophone player in Baltimore named Gary Thomas. He has this very kind of gritty, cutting edge kind of tone, and I thought, I like that. And so I think that had an influence on me. And so I started taking it in the direction that I have. And it's kind of ironic. I think for a long time I was pushing so hard in that and getting that grittier side that at a certain point I had to say, okay, I got to be careful that I don't lose the tone of the instrument and its quality. And actually when Don and I caught up and did the recording of the new album Inheritance, he had said some stuff that really got me thinking about that too, and being sure that I embrace the nature of the instrument that I'm doing tonally, as well as all the the richer harmonic things that I'm trying to do. So that's kind of been the approach for me, and some of the things that were influences on the way that I've tried to chart out some new territory. Because still today, the norm is for this instrument is the freer, the avant-garde stuff, and I love that too. But for what I was trying to stick, I wanted to show, hey, I can play, like we played an up-tempo version of the Epistrophe today, or Giant Steps, or these kind of things. I want to show, we're not some peripheral. We can take center stage, and that comes back to why it was so significant for me with this record of having a second horn. There's a lot of amazing saxophone players, but I wanted the man that had inspired me with that vision for the clarinet family and everything. And so that's what you're hearing coming up.